Welcome back to the Culture and Code podcast. I'm your host, Rayfield Johnson, and today with me is my co-host, the brilliant Nina Aurora-Rowland.
Thanks, Rayfield. That's Aurora. Today's episode is inspired by the quote, "It's not about how much we lost, it's about how much we have left." Another great gem from the great Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame. That's resiliency in a nutshell.
Yeah, resiliency is what keeps you thriving when projects pivot, clients change direction, they don't pay us, or deadlines feel like they're closing in faster than on a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's not just about bouncing back, it's adapting forward. Think of it as your ability to absorb shocks and still deliver value. In consulting, especially, unpredictability is the norm. A client might change scope mid-project, and might is actually almost always,
The only
or a key
constant is
stakeholder.
change. The only
Right.
constant is change. Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. Or a key stakeholder leaves, right? Resiliency means you don't crumble, you recalibrate.
Exactly. Resiliency isn't innate. It's a skill you can build. So let's break down how you would go about building that skill. So we're going to break this down into pillars of resiliency. Uh, Trademark Rayfield Johnson. The three pillars of resiliency. Okay. First pillar, mindset mastery. You need a growth mindset. Instead of thinking this is a disaster, ask what can I learn here? How can I make it different? How can I change it? Nina, any quick tips on your end?
Yeah, use framing, reframing. When a client says we need to start over, don't hear failure, hear
Mhm.
opportunity to innovate. Write down one positive outcome every time something shifts. This makes this takes me back to something a dear friend of mine said over and over. Plan, execute, adjust. That's it right there. Nothing is set in stone. Everything is just a guideline, which evolves as circumstances shift.
Awesome. I like that. That was a good friend of yours that said that. I'm glad that dear friend said it. And hopefully you actually followed it. I don't know if you did. Did you
I
follow
do.
it? Okay.
That dear friend is not you. That's why I follow it.
Oh, I know. I know it's
Yeah.
not me. I know. Um, second pillar, network leverage. So I like it as network leverage or even just building your own network. Build those relationships before you need them. When things go sideways, your network is always going to be your safety net.
And don't just network up, network across. Your peers often have hacks for navigating tough clients or tools for faster delivery or just ideas from their own experiences on their projects. Because again, we all go through this. It's very common in consulting, especially.
Yeah, that second pillar is probably one of the highest pillars that I keep in my arsenal. Like I always focus on who I can build my relationships with that are authentic. So it's not, hey, I saw this person who's an exec, let me add them on LinkedIn or whatever, right? It's
Mhm.
about actually knowing that person and then understanding how you can work together in the future.
Yep.
Um, so I'll go ahead and third pillar, or even just someone you can invite to the barbecue, right? The third pillar, energy management, right? So resiliency is it's not just mental, it's physical, right? So making sure you have the right sleep, hydration, and micro matters, those things matter, right? You can't just pivot if you're running on fumes. You will be exhausted and you will crash.
Micro breaks. Yes, absolutely. Those matter. And here's a pro tip. Schedule buffer zones in your calendar. I know in Outlook, they have focus time feature now. Use the heck out of it. Even 15 minutes between calls can reset your brain. I like to schedule all my meetings 5 minutes past the 30 or 60-minute mark. This gives people a chance to reset or take a quick break between meetings. I found that doing it at the beginning of the meeting, more people honor it than if you have it at the end, like you have the meeting end earlier, because you always think, I still got 5 minutes, we can keep going, right?
Hmm.
But if you start late, you got to wait till everyone joins.
Hmm. I like that. It's a really good one. So those were our three pillars. Now I'm going to move into some practical frameworks, right? So quick frameworks that'll help in the future as you're doing this from a resiliency standpoint, right? As you're building this up. So the quick framework that I would like to go through is the pause, assess, act, and communicate. Again, trademark Rayfield Johnson. Everything on this is a trademark for me. When chaos hits, first of all, make sure you pause. Take a breath. Don't react instantly.
Yeah, I think the trademark should be hashtag Culture and Code Podcast, not
Too
Rayfield
late. It's
Johnson.
already been recorded
But
as just Rayfield
whatever.
Johnson.
There's no I in team. Anyways,
There's I in Rayfield. So let's go ahead. Let's keep going.
take your pause in your framework. Okay. So assess what's the real problem here? What's within your control? It's really important to recognize what you do have control over and what you don't have control over. That's going to help build resiliency as well and help keep your mental state calm.
Yeah. After you assessed, make sure you move forward to the act, right? So choose your next best step, right? It doesn't have to be the perfect one, but it has to be one that you've thought through. That's one of the main reasons why act is after assess. You don't want to go into it acting first after you went from your pause and you're like, I'm just going to go ahead and act, right? You really need to assess what's going on. How can I make it out of this, or how can I improve this, right? And it doesn't have to be the perfect step. You don't want to study it too long and take too much time before you make your next decision, but you want to make sure that it's a good next step.
And this would not be a Culture and Code podcast episode if we didn't talk about communication. So, the next step in that framework is communicate. Communicate to stakeholders and any who are impacted on what the problem is, what's the solution, and what's the plan to execute. How do we get things back to green? Remember to document your learnings. Every challenge is a case study for future resiliency.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think paper trails and documentation help for us to learn further in the future, right? So that we're not making the same mistakes over and over.
They
So,
also offer protection.
yeah, they do.
Right. Like you
Yeah,
like you mentioned paper trail, they offer protection as well.
yeah. I don't know if people still use that term paper trail. I remember that was like a big thing with your emails. Make sure
I think they do, but I don't think anyone has stopped to think about that. It's kind of like glove compartment. Why
yeah,
is it still called a glove compartment?
you're not putting your driving gloves in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good
My
point.
daughter brought that up today. Why do they still call it glove compartment? Anyway, we digress.
So what I would say is like the people listening to our podcast, you got to remember Tony Stark's wisdom in this one, where it says it's not about how much we lost, it's about how much we have left. Resiliency is your superpower. Think of it as your superpower, and how can you build that superpower, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So stay adaptable, stay energized, more importantly, and keep building that network. The way to stay energized is take care of yourself, right? Self-care is a thing. It's not a hashtag or, the buzzword of the year. It really does matter in being more resilient. So, with that, thank you for tuning in to Culture and Code. If you loved this episode, share it with a fellow consultant who needs a boost. And let us know if you have any tips to add. We're always growing and wanting to learn more. So, remember to use hashtag Culture and Code Podcast in your comments.
Yeah. Until next time, thank you for tuning in and keep cultivating your resilience. Bye.
Take care.